Hello everybody, my name is Legion2K and we're going to be doing something a little bit different today. So I saw that iRacing was on sale recently and I thought, you know what, I was a bit harsh on her the first time I tried her out and I thought I'll just give it another try, see if I was wrong in my assessment, and the fact that I'm making a video on it should tell you everything you need to know. I've seen videos like this from people like Super GT, Basic Ollie, Just Devin, and I thought, hey, give myself a shot at it. The gameplay commentary over some sim racing. And I just want to use this first lap to not only discuss what's going on, but also just to kind of give you guys unfamiliar with Laguna Seca a feel for the track. So with sim racing, I do come from Assetto Corsa Competizione. That's where I spent most of my time. But I will say that I think iRacing may be challenging that throne rather soon. Like I said, I tried it once before, last year in fact, and I was a bit too harsh on her because I was very used to ACC, but coming back into it, I've realized that I was wrong. And yeah, I thought, you know what, I'm gonna make some videos on this. It's something I've wanted to do, and to be fair, I think iRacing is a bit more active than ACC, even at late hours of the evening, which is really good because sometimes I want to do some racing and it's 9 o'clock, and if I were to hop on to ACC, I probably wouldn't find a race or two, but here there's plenty of races to be had. And in this series, for those of you that don't know, I am using a few external programs just to make my life a little bit better. The one you're hearing most often, especially with someone alongside or at the start of a race or after certain instances in the race, that is the Crew Chief program, which is a custom spotter and race engineer program that you can use with sim racing. Multiple different games, but I only use it for iRacing, the spotter and engineer in ACC. I like him, he's very nice, so I don't use it there, but here I do, especially because the current spotter and race engineer, I feel like he's a little bit delayed on his speech, but these guys usually right on time. Another program I'm using is Race Labs. That's for a few of the overlays. In the top left, we had that little banner that came out, the radar, and the relative timetable on the right. And then the last program I'm using is something called Trading Paints, which allows you to have custom liveries for the cars and the helmets and the suits, which just makes the game a lot better. So we're rocking with the Castro livery here on the Mazda MX-5. And now that we've gotten that first lap out of the way, I thought for sure it was going to be the guy in front who I would be challenging, but as we can see here, that's not quite the case, and in fact, it's Clark, the guy behind us. So coming out of the final corner here, I don't get the best exit, although he does, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pull all the way to the inside, make my intentions clear, just say, man, listen, if you're going for this position, that's great, you're going to have to do it the long way around the outside. So down into the braking zone, just keeping it parked on the inside, not giving him a chance to cut across, and we will defend the position very cleanly. Shoutouts to him for, you know, not breaking my car a little bit for the time being, holding on to this second position. And a little bit later in the race, once again, I'm just not going to get this turn quite right, and I'll give Clark a chance to get the run he needs, and I see this, and I do the exact same thing. Just go to the inside, make my intentions clear, force him to go the long way around. So starting the next lap here, he's a little bit closer than he was before, down into the braking zone. He's a bit later on the brakes, but has to back out momentarily. So around turn 1 into turn 2. We do defend the position, but unfortunately that door is still open, and Clark down the inside. And you're going to hear my race engineer come on in just a hot second. Not happy with that move, but I had to give Clark credit where credit is due, so I went over the mic and I told him it was a good job. I didn't have my mic set up properly with OBS, if you can believe that. But I told him it was a good move, and, well, Clark's going to respond to us in a rather encouraging way.
Thanks, man. Your turn next.
Your turn next, he says. I told him I highly doubted that, and unfortunately, I could be right. But this point here was about as close as I was going to get to him. So through the kink, I have a much better line, and that'll allow me to pull up, especially with that slipstream. However, it is the corkscrew, and you don't really go for moves into it because it will end in tears, so I just have to back out. and slot in behind him once again. Down we go. And we'll be coming up to the final lap here for the very first race here on the channel in iRacing. Unfortunately, was not able to catch up, and I will have to settle for P3, but that is still a pretty solid result, especially seeing as this is the first iRacing video I've done. This is not my first race ever on iRacing. I did a few before this just to get comfortable with the cars and everything, but I did congratulate Clark on both the move and the P2.
Another couple laps, I think you would have got it.
And another couple laps, he says. I don't know if I agree with that, but it was still a pretty solid result. So we're going to move on here to race number 2, still at Laguna Seca, still in the MX-5. This time, though, we are on pole position. It was, I think, my first or second pole ever here on iRacing. So getting ready for this race start. Right, lights are red. And then lights are going to be green, the flag is out, and we are away. So I'm just going to stick the car on the inside, and all the guys behind will have the slipstream. So just make him go the long way around. Like I said, in the last race, you can brake a little bit later than the 3 marker just because of the speeds you're at. And that was about it for this race. Just sort of stuck it on pole and just started hot lapping, and that's sort of one of the downsides of sim racing is, you know, you don't necessarily have to be on pole, but races can soon just become the hot lap simulator for, you know, however long it is. For us, it's about 15 or so minutes with the 10-lap race. I know sometimes it can be 20 or 30 minutes. However, there are a couple of moments that I do want to touch upon. So the first one is actually coming up here as we get ready to go through the kink here up towards the corkscrew. We're going to take a look in the rearview mirror, and we go through, and the guy behind us goes through, but he goes a little bit too far to the left and a little bit too far to the right. Thankfully, though, able to keep the car pointed in the right direction, so shout-outs to him. And the second little moment I do want to touch upon is actually going to be, once again, at the corkscrew a little while later in the race, towards the end. So as you go through the corkscrew and you're about to go down, there's a squiggly looking tree, and you sort of use that to line yourself up. And I just don't. I just go to the right of it, dip 2 wheels onto the gravel, almost lose the car. Thankfully, able to keep it together and get through that nice and cleanly, and we flash forward to the very last lap. And this is the first win I ever had on iRacing. I'm very happy with myself, doing a little bit of celebratory wiggling, a little bit onto the sand, you know, keeping it interesting. But yeah, that was pretty much the whole race. It was nothing but me sitting at the front and driving around in circles for 15 minutes. But still a nice little win to pick up here. And now we're going to go on to the very last race, and this was quite interesting, and you'll see why in just a little bit of time. So qualifying did not go too well for us. I just felt off. It was weird. So starting in P8, back of the pack, you know, not the first time I've started at the back, but it's better than midfield, at least in my opinion. So we're going to start it off here. Everyone just sort of jostling for position. Now it's all going to go downhill a little bit into turn 1. As we go, I just lift to go back, and then I just don't really brake and go into the back of the guy in front of us, pick up a nice 4X, and the guy behind us will gladly take that position. Not my brightest moment by any stretch of the imagination, but you know what, whatever. Head down, we take it, we're starting in the back, and that's okay. So 2 positions down at the start. We do get a pretty solid run here, so we're going to pull alongside the red and white Mazda to our right, and a little bit later on the brakes, and we'll get the move done. But he's not quite done yet, so he's going to start fighting back, and he's actually going to have a bit of the slipstream of the cars up ahead. And I am just going to back out here. I'm not ready for this move quite yet. He does go wide, but carried more speed. And compared to the lack of speed I had, I couldn't really go for a move. So still having lost 2 positions since the race started. Now, thankfully, as we come up here to the penultimate corner, there is going to be somebody facing the complete wrong direction and we'll just pick up that position with zero problems. So at the end of the first lap, we basically lost one position and then gained some back. So back into P8. Now coming through the corkscrew again, just a little bit later on the brakes, I caught up just a tad. Now I don't know what was going on up ahead, but you see the guy on the right just completely disregard the corner and just slices through it. We'll just grab that position, no problem, up into P7, and we actually end up getting a pretty solid exit out of the final corner, but so does the guy in front, and there was not much that I could really do about it. So flash forwarding a little bit more. The guy here goes a little bit wide, and I decided to go for a move on the right side. I don't know why I thought that was a good idea. It really wasn't. And that's going to just completely compromise everything leading up. And we're going to lose a position for just a second, and then we're going to gain it right back. Probably not the most legal overtake, but you know, we take those. Now, I want you guys to look at the guy who just overtook us, Zayas, in this very nice dark, I'm going to say that's a dark blue with a nice sky blue on it. We have a bit of a moment with him, so coming up towards the kink, he flies a bit wide, I get a good run, and I decide, you know what, I'm going to go door to door through the kink. And it goes about as well as you would think. I immediately go over the mic and apologize because that was clearly not the move, and I decide, you know what, I'm gonna let him through, no big deal, and here comes the orange Mazda just completely running over our tail. So now I find myself starting in P8, going all the way down to P11 at one point, and now it's P10, so I'm not doing as well as I would have hoped. But you know what, there's still plenty of racing left to do, so head down, eyes forward, just keep things going smoothly. And as it would be, we catch right back up to the guy that we sort of pseudo-killed. And I'm thinking, alright, I know where he's slower, I know where I'm faster. Coincidentally, they both line up, so I go, okay, I'm going to go for a move either this lap or the next lap. So what we're gonna do here is just a nice little fade transition, and a lot closer now here a lap later, or actually the same lap, excuse me. So the same corner as before, and much like the last time, he's just gonna run it out wide. I'm gonna get it a lot better here and actually carry more speed through the corner. So I say, alright, time for another move, door to door here, and actually get the move done a lot sooner and just sort of park it on the apex and get through. Engineer's very happy with that, so was I. Nobody died in the process, but that man up there does die a little bit, so we'll gain yet another position in a very short amount of time. So, just like that, we find ourselves a lot higher than we were just a few laps ago. Now, I don't know what happened up here, but as we round the kink, we see one car facing perpendicular to the track, and there's another car who was also messing up on something, telling people to pass to the right. Shoutouts to Pierre for that one. So we'll pick up 2 more places on our quest to see how many more we can pick up by the end of the race. Now, I don't know what the guy in the orange was thinking, but at the next lap, you can see him up ahead. He just goes into the side of the other Mazda, and as you saw, he is disqualified out of the race. So I don't know what was going on there, but that'll actually give us a chance to catch up to Oliver here. Now, I do want to play this next little bit out as we head down the front straight. The final lap coming up here. And I know that I could probably get around him. We are in P5 at the moment, but you know me, I'd love to get more than just a P5. So down to turn 1 we go. I'm a little bit later on the brakes and a little bit later on my downshifts, and that'll actually set us up very nicely for a run down the right side. We get the move, and wouldn't you know it, we get it done. And just like that, all I know is stitch the rest of this lap up and you'll be home free. So coming around here one final time around turn 11. Ladies and gentlemen, from 8th to 11th to 4th, we have quite the recovery drive. And across the line it is. I gotta say, I was very impressed with myself after this race. You know, wasn't the best qualifying, certainly not the best start, but you know what? Just kept things where they should be, kept my head down, stayed focused, stayed cool, and came across the line for a wonderful, wonderful P4. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for me today. If you enjoyed this, make sure you drop a like. I don't know how often we're going to be doing these iRacing videos, but I'm certain that there'll be a new series here on the channel. As you can tell, yep, P8 to P4. So, very solid drive from me. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for me today. My name is Leading2K, and I'll see you next time.